Hey everybody, me, I'm enjoying a Slurpee on a nice summer day. I mean, it's a horrible summer day. It's super hot outside. Just the worst. But a Slurpee, it always makes everything better, man. And when I was walking on the way down there, because I have a bunch of corner stores around me, but 7-Eleven has the Slurpees, These other places, they don't, they have their fucking hush puppies and shit. It's like it's not the same. It's not the same. Like maybe an icy. It's a different vibe though, but a Slurpee is just, it's a Slurpee. So I'm walking down to the 7-Eleven and I went down there. I don't know if there's any other cities in the world or if anyone's in LA, but like, it's like automated, it's like very like dystopian automated like police box watching things that'll like alert you. And it's like there's this constant overlaying message of like, like we're in the action of recording. Alert. We are in the action of recording. And it's like these policing, I don't even know what the fuck they really are. It's like I feel like I should, like probably as a citizen of the world. It's just like my human duty. I should be like, hey, what the fuck are those things? Because I feel like it's like we're like it's like close to Robocop. One of those things gonna zap somebody or something. I don't know what's going on. Hmm, I mean, they only put them in like really bad places, because like a ton of people get stabbed at the 7-Eleven and whatever. Um, it's like I think somebody died there not too long ago. I'm not sure. There were like people in hazmat suits like washing the blood off, but it's like that's always on the metro too. There's always washing the blood off the elevators and shit. Who even knows? It's like, could it be rat blood? Maybe. You do see lots of rats. Some of them are super tame too, so they'll kind of come right up to you, and it's like, I don't know, man. I don't really want to share food. I mean, I kind of want to share food with you, but like, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know. It's still just like a street rat. It's like I'm not really sure what its deal is. We're walking down to the 7-Eleven where people get stabbed and murdered, and I'm one of those weird Robocop police things. Then there's this guy, of course, like yelling. And that whole parking lot has a whole vibe to it. It's its own little like Skid Row, and this guy yelling all the way there, of course, follows me in the 7-Eleven, is yelling in the 7-Eleven, and there's these poor like there was his dad obviously just picked up his kids. The kids were jumping up and down to get a fucking Slurpee, and he comes in, he starts yelling, and it's like, no, she survived. The kids are scared, whatever. But I always have a good vibe with people that are like all, I don't know, like at a certain level, seeing red or whatever. I don't know. I have a good vibe with people. I guess it probably makes me good at what I do for my job, and it gets me like not fucked with. But so it's like it's useful. It's a useful little an aura thing. So, and I get in between them and I'm just like, all right, what Slurpee are we getting today, children? They were probably equally scared. And no one's really scared of me. They were like, and they were kind of looking at that guy or whatever. And of course, this guy who's been yelling and causing all sorts of ruckus takes me by the arm, leads me over to Slurpee machine, and is like, you know what? You know which one is bomb as fuck? And I was like, which one? And he's like, "That's sour grape power." I was like, "That's the one I was going for, man. That's exactly the one I was going for." And you know what? He was right. It is mom's fuck. And then after that, he just, started making like a Frito pie. You know what those are? You bust up in the Fritos and you put the chili and everything in there. And he's calm as fuck after that. Um, don't know why I shared that story, but otherwise, I think the whole point of it was the Slurpee kind of amazing. Kind of makes the hot weather. Nah, I wouldn't say worth it, but hmm, hmm, good day, good day all around. Automatically because of this, perks you right up. But there's been a lot of things that have kind of come into my life that have kind of shaken them up a little bit. Some exciting, some not so exciting. um, some a little bit devastating, but um I guess talking about, this guy and everything like that, I was thinking about, a lot recently about the things that have come into my life, about like how I didn't always used to work in the career field that I work in now. I had a whole other career before this. Full bustling, robust career I worked really hard for, and that's a story for a different time. But the reason that I jumped into therapy is because it's actually super easy. Like the profession, easy. Okay. It's the people that make it hard. And it's sort of like, what's the line in Clerks? Which I can't believe I'm like forgetting because I've seen Clerks so many times. But it's like basically that vibe, right? It's like it's the people that make it suck. Um, mm, Mine's a little bit different because like I actually work for people. I'm actually in the human services, so I probably shouldn't have joined it. But yeah, Randall would understand, I think. I think Randall would make a good therapist. I really do. It's like you're probably like laughing, but it's like really think about it. He could really tell people what they need to hear, I think. But anyway, it's the people, man. It's the people, and I get it. It's like change is hard. It's work. Most people, they don't want to do it. And it seems like especially it's the people that go to therapy that don't want to do the work the most. And I think really the key to being good at what I do is differentiating like what's ruminating and what's talk that's leading to change. Um, because I feel like you have to kind of suss out like what does this client want? Do they want a mommy? Do they want like some like unresponsive wall to just talk at? Or do they actually like want a firm reality check? Which they all need a firm reality check, but do they want it? Um, because I feel like everyone knows those people, especially out in LA. It's like everyone knows those people that go to therapy just for their weekly fix of therapy talk that makes all their toxic behaviors and non-changing ways okay. And I confront people because I actually care about you. It is because of my empathy that I want better for you. And I see and recognize there is better for you. It's like it might not feel that way, but it's like that's really like what tough love is. It's like, yeah, I could sit back, collect my paycheck, and enable all your bullshit, but what's really the point of doing that? I firmly kind of believe in like knocking the nest out of the tree. I really don't like to be one of those people that's like, no. It's like my clients are not my little baby birds who have no agency, who have to wait with their little mouths open for me to regurgitate, their food to them. It's like I'm all in favor of shaking the nest out of the tree, fly or die, you know? Um, but it can be a real bummer sometimes, because it's like, look, in my mind, repeating the same cycles is just fancy way of saying stuck. And it can really get you down when it's like, it's just shit, you're seeing a bunch of people and it's just like, man, they'd rather die than fly. They'd rather die than move or change or put in any effort to achieve any significant growth. But it's also like the job space is super weird. It's super weird for everyone right now, but it's super weird in the mental health space because I just feel like it's like you're expected to take on everybody else's shit, everybody else's mental health, while like the job field is directly impacting yours extremely negatively. And it's like my caseload right now is like completely untenable. Like my coworkers and I like have cried ourselves through this like period of like we're understaffed, but we're in no hurry to replace anybody. Bullshit. And it's like we literally like it's not even a joke. It's like a sick joke that it's like no. It's like our lunch hour isn't even our lunch hour. It's our cry hour. And we do. That's not even a joke. I do. I cry in my office like before you know, people come to me to cry in my office. And it's like, and it just starts like really, fucking you up. Like, it's like I've maybe gotten like 2.5 hours of sleep this week. I'm having nightmares. I'm waking up screaming. Like, it's just like, My eye is doing the weird eye thing, which I didn't even think people could see because it's like it feels like it's twitching, but I just thought that was in my head. And then it's like, whoa, Mad Eye Moody, what's going on there? Like, Mad Eye Moody's here to what? Help me with my mental health? I mean, what the fuck, lady? Um, but yeah, and it's like, and I think the most messed up thing about it is that it's like the job doesn't even pay enough to where if your dog gets sick, you don't have to take on a second job just to pay your rent. And the second job that I have right now is just it's outdoors. It's very physically demanding. So it's like you come home from one that's very emotionally exhausting and go to one that's extremely physically exhausting. So yeah, I've never been so like mentally and emotionally and physically exhausted in my entire life. You can probably tell. Like, it's like I've been having to like get these like ice pack things for my eyes so people can't tell that I've been crying so much. And mhm, Slurpee's doing a number. It's doing its thing. Um, but yeah. So when I'm not working at my day job, I'm working at the second job, and you know, I'm doing this right now. I've carved out a little bit of a break on my day job to do this because I fear what I would become if I didn't. So I'm allowing myself a little Slurpee break, a little movie break, and then get back at it with no end in sight. But to add to this in good and bad ways, I did get a call last week from a person in my former career about this project that I had been working on. And look, it's something that I'm like trying not to get my hopes up about, but it's like I feel like I have to, I have to allow myself a little bit of excitement, even if it's like largely delusional. It's like, it's like at this point, it's like I gotta give myself something, man. A Slurpee every once in a while ain't gonna cut it. It's not gonna do it. Um, and of course, like then I couldn't stop there. Once I got this call, I was like, inspiration struck, and I started talking about this thing, and I was like, this thing could really be a thing. And then he was like, yeah, that's definitely a thing. Like you should make it into a thing. Now that we have everybody's ear and we have the excitement on our side, you should make it into a thing. So I'm making that into a thing. So the day job, the second job, and when I'm not doing that, I'm doing this third thing. Um, until I get vertigo every night. And it's like the vertigo is even bled into my sleep now to where it's like I've been having all of these nightmares about massive earthquakes. But yeah, the dog's fine, by the way, though. I forgot to mention the dog is fine. In fact, so fine, he has so much energy that he tries to bite me whenever I put his ear medicine in. But it's like, look, I've had a discussion with him because I'm like, look, buddy, that office visit, that ear medicine cost half my fucking rent. Okay, we're using every last drop of it, and I don't give a shit what you say. Okay, I could have let you suffer. I could have let you suffer. But it's like, what can I do? Basically, Christ for my sacrifices. Goddamn goblin. It's just like they don't even know. They don't even know the sacrifices we make for them. Put me up on the cross. All this to say, like I'm kind of thriving. At least keeping the hope of thriving alive. And I'm having fun with the new project. I'm actually having fun with it. It's like it's nice to work on something creative again, and it's like nice to work on something that has like, there's tangible progress and like a definitive end to it. Like I'm gonna have something at the end of it, and that kind of feels nice. And it feels nice to just be able to like check out and be in this different world. And I don't know, been having a good time with it. But how I really know. Now, how I really know that I'm on the precipice of major life transformation, and you probably already know where I'm going with this, is the movie Signs. And you're like sitting there, like, of course, yes, the movie Signs. How did I not see that coming? But I've been watching it obsessively. And when I say obsessively, when I even have 1 minute free, it's on the TV. It's on the TV right now. It's just like paused, so it didn't get in the background of this. But it's on the TV. I can see Joaquin's face looking at me right now. Okay, as he's seeing the alien on the TV. So it's like that's what's on my TV right now. Literally science. um, it's on the TV. It's on the mind. And whenever I start doing that, whenever I get in these obsessive loops of watching signs, like that's when I know major changes are afoot. And the obsession with signs, well, it never leads me astray. So today I have for you Vision Transformation with Signs that came out in 2002 with No One Will Save You. They came out in 2023. Now I almost did Nope, but I do think I have a better pairing for Nope. It like sort of fits the vibe of this, but I think No One Will Save You kind of fits it more thematically. And I kind of wanted to give a space for both. It's like I feel like putting Signs and Nope together, it would just this would be way too long. This is way too long anyway, but I just feel like there's so much to talk about. There's so much to say. It just, I don't know. I feel like it'd be too much, right? Hat in the Hat, almost like kind of like it's overwhelming. But let's get into it. Let's get into Signs, man. Okay. So first of all, I have to say I love Joaquin's performance in this so much. Like, it's hard to pick a favorite Joaquin performance because they're all so great. And it's really hard to qualify and be like, this is his best one, but I do think it's my favorite one. I think he's just so perfect in this movie. And I love it. And I love all the performances. And this hands down my favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie. Okay. And that is really hard because I am a huge M. Night fan. It's actually harder for me to pick the movies that like I kind of don't vibe with over the movies that I do because I just think he's a genius. I think he's brilliant. I love his stuff. And it's really hard to say, but I think Signs definitely is my favorite. Um, and I think it's very apropos to transformation, as we follow Father Hess and his deeply held faith that he dedicated his life to, that then becomes discarded by tragedy and then discovered again through an act of otherworldliness. He's isolated from town, isolated from, his former life. And, it's like him and his kids and his brother Merrill, um, all dealing with grief in their own way. Now, the performances are heavy, but they show little emotion. It feels very true to life, that dissociated state where the grief has arrested you from any forward momentum. You're becoming a new person, but like that personality hasn't emerged yet, so you're still mired in this like developmental stage pre rebirth. But the existence of crop circles and animals acting strange has created quite the catalyst. And the vibe is just off in this movie. I love it because it's like it's so hard to find another movie like this because it's like God, the vibe is just perpetually off. And I'd say like Nope is like the closest that you can get to it. But it's like there's all this excitement going on around them, yet all of our characters are just completely disconnected. They're making the right moves, but it almost feels like like the robotic motions of doing something so rote that like your mind can check out while your body does the work. And deep depression isn't loud. It isn't obvious. It's like living in the darkest parts of the ocean with weights on your feet. It's like it dulls your mind, and every movement becomes a Herculean effort. But there's a creepiness to this depression. The crop circles, the baby monitor, the eventual footage of aliens, as Joaquin is seeing right now, I'm looking at him. And the invasion is imminent. But what is anybody doing? Like, what can anyone do? And it all comes down to the tangled webs. You don't know what you don't know. Seemingly meaningless things mean everything. Little annoyances, our greatest failures, our most sorrowful experiences now have become our greatest strengths. If Father Hess's wife hadn't died, he might not have met the man responsible, who then feels obligated to tell him about the alien's weakness. His wife's last words of swing away would not have been burned into Father Hess's mind if they hadn't been marred in an out of body trauma. And he wouldn't have been able to deploy them at the most pivotal moment in the film. Merrill's insistence on swinging his bat, even though it earned him the strikeout record and assured he would never play Major League Ball, has now proven to save the family. Little Bo's trait of leaving water glasses half filled all around the house, now the family's largest defense. Morgan's asthma ensures he can't inhale the full force of the aliens' toxins. These are what we call good miracles. It's always eerie when things come together. And I've experienced this myself a few times in my life. I'm sure you have too. Being in the exact right place at the exact right time for something exceptional to happen. All the things that went wrong were actually going right. The experience that always stands out to me was when I got Hamlet. Now, I consider Hamlet my soulmate. I feel like if we're lucky in life, we all get one, whether that be familial, platonic, or romantic. Hamlet was mine. I'm sure you all have yours. And the bond with a soulmate is just inexplicable, right? It's just something powerful and real, and the love is just different from any other that you have ever had or will experience. But how I met mine, everything had to go wrong. So I was going to pick him up in the parking lot of a Denny's in the City of Industry. And of course, that day my car broke down. But my boyfriend at the time said I could use his, but by the time he got off work that day, it'd be too late to get there. So he asked his boss. The boss was like, fine, you can get off early, but you got to do like one really important delivery before you go. Of course, that all went horribly awry and ended up taking so long that he almost got off at the exact same time that he would have gotten off anyway. So, this was the most important day of my life. So I was like, look, we're just going to speed race there and hope and pray that we make it. Um, so what ended up happening as we're speed racing there is the strangest thing that I've ever experienced probably in my life. And I've experienced a lot of strange things, but this one was by far, it was up there. Driving on the 605, huge storm cell opens up in the middle of August in Southern California. It doesn't rain here, ever. And especially not like that. I mean, there was hail, okay? It never rains like that, especially never in the summer. Of course, it came on so suddenly. It was like this massive downpour of heavenly proportions, and there were accidents everywhere. It further delayed the trip. And then, of course, it's like the number she gave me was a landline to her house, so I couldn't get a hold of her. And we pulled up just as she was giving away the last pug puppy. I was devastated. I'd wanted a pug all my life, and for some reason around this time, they were really hard to come by. I tried through rescues, I tried through humane societies, someone always got there first. And I had been looking forward to this day for 19 years. And now I was shattered. But I ran over anyway, hoping to anything that there was one more left in that car trunk. But sorry, clean out. And of course, I burst into tears, and she took pity on me. And she said, well, look, I do have one more. He's the definite runt, and I didn't even bother bringing him because something's just ain't right with that one. Okay, I'm telling you right now. But look, I can go back to my place. I can bring him back here, see if you like him. And she came back with Hamlet. There was indeed something very wrong with him. I thought, of course, she was speaking like metaphorically, psychologically, because he was like a clown through and through. But it was the strangest respiratory birth defect that anyone had ever seen. Every place that I went to, every vet that I took him to, turned him down because they're like, I wouldn't even know where to get started with something like that. I've never seen anything like that. I wouldn't even know what to call it. And there is no way, I just don't know what realm that came out of, but there's no way I wouldn't even know where to begin. And me being me, and this being like, I finally got my pug. I finally got my Hamlet. He's not dying on me because of something as silly as a fucking birth defect. And I tracked down the specialty vet. It wasn't, I mean, he was a few hours away from my house. And I found him. He's a specialty vet. He works on respiratory, like he works on respiratory systems. In fact, he had actually done surgeries on first responder dogs during 9/11. And this man made up a surgery just for Hamlet. Likely the only one that's ever been done. He flew out other animal surgeons just to watch the surgery. It was that big of a deal. Okay. And had I left on time, had my car not broken down, had the strangest storm ever experienced in Southern California not occurred. Of course, these things I cursed and cried at the time because I thought they were ruining my life. But they all led me to sharing my life with the right pug, Hamlet. He would have probably gone to someone else, and look, he would have likely been euthanized because I really think that somebody procuring a pug puppy in a Denny's parking lot in the city of Industry probably would not have put as much time, effort, and money into saving his life as I had. And you know what? What a life we had. This was also a time, right before I got Hammy, that I obsessively watched, and this time you're gonna know it's coming, the movie Signs. It's ingrained in my mind so much, it's probably gonna be one of the last things on my mind before I die. And when I die, I wouldn't be surprised if the TV in the room doesn't inexplicably flicker on and subject anyone present to one last goodbye to M. Night and his amazing, incredible, brilliant movie Signs. So now we get to No One Will Save You. So I watched this one at home because I don't think it got a theatrical release. Correct me if I'm wrong on that comments, but I don't think it did. I watched it at home anyway. But I love alien shit. So I love alien stuff. E.T.'s like my favorite film. Maybe Signs my second. Probably The Thing the third. But to be honest, there's not like a lot of good alien movies because alien films are about the vibe. So much like I don't really consider the alien movies alien movies. Like those are monster movies, those are action movies, not really alien movies. Even The Thing, kind of a nebulous area to me. I mean, they're great films, obviously, but they lack that extraterrestrial like disorientation of the whole thing. Like that feeling like you can't explain. Something just feels off. And it's like scary, but like in a cosmic way. And it's almost like indeterminable to say if these beings are like a force of evil. Not even in something like Bad Taste, probably my fourth favorite film. Um, because it's like we make animals here on Earth into hamburger meat. It's like, do we consider the average person a force of evil because they kill cute animals because they taste good? I'm vegan, so I'm like exempt from the argument. I'll let you guys to decide. But like the thing, the thing I want to say about The Thing and Aliens is like, even in The Thing and Aliens, where it's like kind of nebulous, right? That they're alien movies, but even if we're taking those aliens, it's like we're just a host to them, an insignificant vessel. Like, do these beings hate us or even see their actions as evil? Likely not. And honestly, in the alien movies, it's like in space, we're the ones maybe that should be venturing into their territory. Like, even here on Earth, it's like, do we consider a lion a force of evil for killing a wildebeest? Like, no. I don't even think they'd be evil for killing a human being. It's a lion. You're you're the more complex being, okay? You have the ability to stay the fuck away from it. But even humans are allowed to kill if threatened. If I told you, like, yeah, I killed a man, I did it. I killed him, you know? But in self-defense, no one would bat an eye. I took a life, but it's not really murder because it doesn't count if they were a threat, which seems a little arbitrary because it's like, what if the threat was just perceived through me? Like, consider this through the lens of E.T. He's kind of terrifying, okay? Like, think about him in those cornfields. It's like, you know what, man? Like, shit, you're scary. Why did you do that? I get it that you were like scared or whatever, but you're kind of bringing it on yourself. I mean, that's fucking terrifying shit, dude. Like, come on, man. Um, but it's like, but ultimately, like, we come to know him. He's very emotionally in tuned, which is like what endears us. But he's also invading Elliot's body, sharing his soul and mind, and getting to control his actions, which it's like that could go the way of Cronenberg, right? But I like to think of it as a defense mechanism. Like it might be hard to hurt something if you can feel what it's going through. So it kind of opens up the possibility that ET initially sees Elliot as a predator. And can we really say like we wouldn't kill an alien if we came across one? It's like remember what the NASA scientist says to Elliot and ET. I'm glad he met you first. It's like that's implying if he had met the government, he would have been poked and prodded and probed. We saw what they turned Superman into in Flashpoint, the comic book. Read it if you haven't. The bottom line, we're glad Baby Kal-El met the Kents first. If E.T. had landed somewhere else, like he might have been shot or lit on fire. It's all perspective, man. And maybe the aliens know how we'd react, so they subdue us into a more submissive state. Like those animals who get tranquilized to take pictures with influencers. This is kind of what this movie is about. But much like Signs, this is a movie about transformation and grief. How a tragic event can fundamentally change who you are in the course of your life. How alienating the feeling of being without connection really is. Isolation shapes us in many ways. We all experienced that firsthand during the COVID lockdowns, and many aspects of our life have never recovered, let's be honest. And Bryn lives alone on the outskirts of town. Such a solitary life that she's built this model town just to get a semblance of community. And she's shunned from her town. We know she's done something, but I won't give it away here. And I thought for a minute in the movie, like they weren't going to tell us either, which would have been kind of cool, I think. Um, but yeah, it's like it helps the vibe that we don't really know what's going on. It helps us feel more destabilized, I think. And this allows the aliens to kind of almost start right away. Like home invasion number one happens really quickly. It's scary, it's frenetic. There's really no time for thought. It's just about survival. Two species colliding violently, and it's clear they view us as deranged animals. Likely an animal in the wild, or especially in captivity, views us as a threat when we have to tranquilize it for medical treatment. And it tries to subdue her with its mind, but it pays with its life. And then, of course, like after that, electrical devices are all fried and more aliens follow suit. However, she notices that the next time she goes into town, the people are starting to act more aggressive towards her than normal. And this is where we get into body snatchers territory. They're trying to infect us, but like in body snatchers, is that necessarily making things worse off? The parasitic infection actually seems preferable. Once you're infected, nobody's aggressive. Everything is as it should be in a dream. Eventually, the aliens are able to see into Bryn's mind and they want to give her that dream. And there's many allusions to facing yourself. There's even a doppelganger in the film in which they try to kill each other, themselves, however you would phrase that. Isolation from our problems can feel like we're healed, but really it's just a hiding space from our triggers. I had a client once who was an alcoholic, and his solution was to stay inside all day, every day. Because if he went outside, he knew how many liquor stores were on his block, and he'd walk to one and he'd drink. If he got an Uber, that kind of used to be his ritual. Call an Uber, go out, get something to eat, drink, get dropped off at his favorite liquor store, walk home while drinking, to get home and drink more. And he said that he was healed. Like, I'm feeling great. I'm cured, with the small exception that I can never leave my apartment ever. He failed to see that he was still a slave to alcohol, even though he wasn't using it. It was still controlling and dictating his life. If something has that much of a hold on you, that you can't leave your apartment, buddy, you didn't find the cure. Replacing one extreme with another is just supplementing addiction. It takes extreme strength, courage, work, and commitment to find recovery. But at a certain point, you have to ask yourself, which pain is more powerful? Which will is stronger? And which one are you going to regret? And look, whatever your thoughts on aliens, mine is that man, oh man, would I really like to meet one. Or several. I send out my telepathic communication every day, hoping that I might catch a few and invite them back to my apartment. As long as they weren't too loud or they could disguise their noises as a grumbling English bulldog, my place would be the safest place to be. Nobody comes here, nobody checks up on me, and I wouldn't say a word. Even if I did, no one would believe me anyway. They would just think this was an extension of one of my many, many, many eccentricities. They could hang out, communicate, give me a slice of alien life, man. Because you know what? I just really think that their way of life would be so alien, we couldn't even conceive it. That's why I think Stranger in a Strange Land is the best novel ever written. It's also entirely foreign. Heinlein had to come up with a whole new concept, grok. Grokking something is to have relation and yet understand something within the confines of what we know. No, sorry. I'm going to repeat that. Grokking, grokking something. Try to explain what grok. So grokking something is to have no relation and yet understand something within the confines of what we know. Which is why I think Arrival might be the best and closest thing that we ever get to an on-screen adaptation. How we interpret something is from context, but what if there is none? There's nothing to compare and contrast against anything fathomable. And I love the idea there could be beings out there that can definitively illustrate life as something so much larger than we can ever know. I guess that's what meeting God would be like. And I suppose in another way, it's kind of the antithesis of what religion promises more questions and no answers. Things are infinite. Nothing is impossible. Everything exists. There's no limits, and we're not prisoners to what we think is our reality. Maybe everything is eventually prone to falling perfectly into place, even when it looks like this could be furthest from the truth. Because the universe, with all of its vastness, is vast in its creation. An explosion happens to destroy stagnancy and create infinite growth, endless possibility, constant expansion. It's dedicated to creating possibility. Maybe this belief of faith is not really blind, but an inner knowing from the inception of our creation that stagnancy is not stability. It is not safety, but the precipice for destruction. The only thing that can be counted on is the unknown. And you can look at that in a couple of ways. You can fear it, let it paralyze you, and die standing steadfast in what you think you know. Or think, maybe all that I've done, all that I'm doing, no matter how much I think it may be futile, might just lead me to meeting an alien today. So I hope you guys get as much out of these movies as I have. Have a great day, and if any aliens are watching, come get a Slurpee with me, guys. Be fun.